So let's go. Today I'm going to be talking about the support and resistance zone. The support and resistance zone. So the support and resistance zone can also be seen as our psychological zone. Psychological zone, because psychological level can also be called it can also be called support and resistance level. There's difference between level and zone. When we're talking about level, we are talking about a fixed number, like a fixed number. When we're talking about zone, we are talking about area. That is, we are not talking about level now. We are talking about around that area. Like say around one, maybe you are talking about you are talking in range. I'm still going to explain that on chart. But before we go on chart, let me explain it better. So you're talking about maybe 1 to 2, that is within 1 to 2, or let's say 1 to 5, that is within 1 to 5. We are talking about zone now. We're not talking about a fixed number. We're not talking about like just say 5, or when you just say 4, or when you just say 1. So let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. This the support and resistance zone. Support and resistance zone. You can also call it psychological zones. Support and resistance zone. I hope you can see. Let me clear all this. So let's clear everything on this chart. So when we talk about psychological zones, or when we talk about support and resistance zones, so what do we mean by support? When we're talking about support, we are talking about like when the floor for the market, like the floor. We're talking about the down, something like this. Let's assume that the market moves like this. Have something like this. This is what I mean. So what I mean by the floor is this area. You can see that these levels, they are not on the same level. They are not on the same line. We are to put line there. So let's assume that this one is like this. Assume that this one is a little bit down like this. So we are not talking about a fixed point now. I'm not talking about, okay, let's use this. We are not talking about a fixed point. You can see that the market is beyond themselves. Like there are a lot of like extensions. You understand? So what I mean by the floor, like the support of the market, is this. This is what we call support level. It's a support level. You can see these are support level. And when we talk about the resistance level, it serves as a roof for the market. You understand? It serves as a roof for the market. You can see we also have here. It is not straight. Let's have something like this. So it is not straight. So it is not straight. Let's use this. Let's use this. Let's use let's have this. So, so so let's move to psychological. Okay. So this is the resistance now. So you can say this is a resistance zone. You can see is the resistance zone. So this is what we mean by this is support and this is resistance. Let me color code this in red. You are going to understand. Okay, let me just put first the resistance zone. Why this becomes the resistance and the support zone. The support zone. So you now know the difference between the resistance and the support zone now. The resistance and the support zone. So these are what we call this resistance and the support zone. So let's do little example on real market now. So this is this is so what I do is that I also have my major psychological zone and I also have my minor psychological zone. Understand? And it is worthy of note that a psychological zone, that is a resistance zone, can also change to a support zone, and a support zone can also change to a resistance zone. So I'm going to be explaining what I'm trying to say now. But first of all, let me explain the resistance in a bigger market, like in a real market now. So let's see this. Let's take this first of all. Let's take this out. So you can see. So that is for the resistance. Why for the support, you can also use this. You can use this. Oh, sorry. So this is our support zone. This is our support zone. This is our support zone. The more touches on this zone, the more validity the zone becomes. I mean, the more valid the zone becomes. You understand? Like the more touches on the zone, the more valid the zone becomes. Do you understand? So we have major. Don't forget, I said we have major and we also have minor. So what I mean by major, that is, we have the one in on the bigger picture of the market. So let's go down to maybe so you can see. You might not see it clearly on this 4 hour time frame, but once we go down to maybe a smaller time frame, now you're going to understand better what I'm trying to say. So let's do that. Let's do that now. Let me delete this first. So let's go to 1 hour time frame. Let's go to 1 hour time frame. Let's see what the market is saying there. So you can say these levels, these two levels now, can call them is the roof. Can call these two. Can see that they are not equal. So let's just take them and extend to the future. You can see that this is a very good zone. Let's assume that I already picked out this my zone out already and I extended it to the future. I must have taken this trade now. This short this short sell. It's just a short sell. You can see. So but I don't want to just talk about trade yet. So that is for our resistance zone. This for our resistance zone. This for our resistance zone. So let's talk about support zone, the support zone, the support zone, support zone. Let's look for support. Let's look for support. Okay. Can use this as our support. Use it here. You should know that the zone should not be wide too much. You understand? It should not be like this. This too much. Just a little bit. You can you use your like you're going to use based on your own like like kind of uh, uh this kind of interval. You can see and markets are the market reacted on this point here. It also reacted on this point here. So when price went up to the upside and the price is coming down, so I projected I must have projected for this point that okay, and you can also see it is also close to a psychological level. So it is also close to a psychological level. These are what I look at for in the market. This is one of my um strategy that I also use. Understand? So you can see that this is another touch on the zone. So it's telling you that you should buy from this point again. So you should also look out for some things. You should also see some things in the market before you take a buy. It is not just I saw that the psychological zone is giving me buy. You should look out for like once I usually say this to my students when you have 3 out of your 5 conferences like that. Let's say you have 5 conferences now, and 3 is aligned. Like the 3 are aligned with themselves. Like 3 are perfect on the. Maybe you have another trend line here. Maybe you have trend line here. You also have psychological level. Don't forget, there's difference between psychological level and psychological zone. So this is a psychological zone. You can also call psychological level a support and resistance level. Understand? So you can also call this now a support and resistance zone, and you can also call it a psychological zone, and this is the support level. I mean the support zone rather. This is the support zone. When we are talking about level, we are talking about just a number, like a fixed number. But when we are talking about a zone now, we are talking about an area, like we are talking about area, not a fixed number. Okay, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. So you can see the difference between the two now. This is the level, this is the zone. This is the level, this is the zone. There's difference between the two, the level and the zone. The difference between the two. That's just the difference between the two, the level and the zone. So let me delete that. Let me delete that. So that's about this the floor. So let me also do one more example for the roof. Let's see if we can have this. Okay. Don't forget it should not be too wide. You can see the market reacted on this point. We have an extension here. The market reacted on this point again. We have another reaction on this point again. So you can also see another reaction on this point again. So that is how market moves. That is how market moves. Okay. So you can also, I don't want this video to be too long. So let me just stop there. So let me explain another thing on that. I also want to explain on that. So when I was talking about a support that turns into resistance. So let me first of all get this out. So when I say a support that turns to like okay resistance, this is what I mean. Look at this. Let's look at this now. We have something like this. Okay. So this is this these are like uh what do I call it? These are like advanced phase, but I'm just giving like insight of what you are going to be seeing in the future. You can see this is a resistance point. This is a support now. For this market here, like when the market is still here, it is a resistance zone. So this is what we call resistance turn support. You can see that market broke this structure to the upside and came back and retest on that resistance zone. So it changes this resistance zone to support zone. Do you understand now? Don't worry. When we get to advanced class, when you come to advanced class, you're going to understand better what I mean by all these kind of patterns. These are like advanced patterns they are going to be seeing in the financial market, like in the forex market at large. These are things that you're going to be noting out. So when I say forex is easy but not simple, I know what I'm saying. You understand? It is not easy. It's not easy, but it's very simple. You understand? It's very simple but not easy. It's very simple but not easy. So once you just get all these things, this you can see I'm explaining this from head. So that is why I'm just picking those topics like that. And once it comes to my head, I explain it. So these are things that you can once you master it, it becomes part of you. You understand? Once you master something, it becomes part of you. 3 years in this job in this industry is not a joke and it's not a small thing. You understand? So these are the things you are going to be seeing in future. So let's see. Maybe we can see an example on the charts that looks like that. That looks like that. Example is this one. Look at this point here now. Look at this point here. Let me stretch. Let me see. Let's see what is happening there. You can see something here. Look at this point here now. This is a zone. This is a support zone. This is a support zone now. You can see. Let me zoom in back. Look at this point here now. So you can see now this is what we call support. Support. This is a support before. It turns resistant for this market from this point here. It serves as a resistance on this point. This can also be what we call break and retest. You can see the market broke this and retested on this zone again. It broke out of this zone. You can see and retested on this zone again and gave us a drop. It came back to that zone again. It also gave us a drop. You can also see it came back to that zone again. It also gave us a drop. So that is how we trade the market. You can see that's how we trade the market. That's how we trade the market. These are things that we see before taking trades. We don't just take trades. So let's look for one more example. Let's see, maybe we can get that. Let's see of that support stone, resistant or resistant stone, support stone. So let's take this. Let's also take this and extend it to the. So this is not working. We have a lot of extension. It's not that it's working, but I want something that is clean. Something that is clean, just as the first one. So this one is not working out. So this one is not working out. Let's look for another one. Let's look for another one. So these are like levels that markets react to. So you extend it. The one that you see that it has more like when it becomes more valid, you can extend it to the future open to like in the next 4 months you are still using the same support and resistance zone. You understand? It depends on how valid the zones or levels are. That is when you keep them, when you keep your psychological level or your psychological zone. It depends on how valid they are. That is when you keep them. You understand? So this is a psychological zone that turns resistant. This is a support that turns resistance zone. So let me just so I don't want this video to be too much. I don't want something that is going to get complicated. I don't want that. I want something that you're going to understand direct. And when you don't see it as a beginner in the financial market, what I want you to do as my own student is that once you don't see what you are looking for in the market, rest. There are a lot of other currency pair you can also look at, or you can change it to maybe any other currency pair. You understand? We have Don't forget, I said we are going to be focusing on the eight major pairs. I mean the seven major pairs, the, the seven major currency pairs. You understand? So we have seven major currency pair. If you are not seeing anything on the seven major currency pair, then you rest. You're going to rest. It is not every trade that you're going to take on the financial market. Don't forget, while you are sleeping, some people are also taking trade. So if you are having it at the back of your mind that okay, it is every trade that you are going to be taking, then you should know that you are doing the wrong thing. You should also rest. You understand? Since we have sections in the market, you should also rest. These people that are controlling the section, they are also resting. You understand? It is not every time that you trip the trade. Don't worry, when we get to psychological class, like psychology class, I'm going to explain some things to you, how we convince our subconscious mind. You understand? Like how emotion sets in when we are on trade. There are different kind of emotion. The emotion that you are going to have before taking the trade is going to be clean. Don't worry when we get to psychological level. But when you are panicking in trade, when you're panicking, maybe your mind is not at rest in trade. You understand? The emotion that is acting at that present time is also different. So when we get to psychological class, I'm going to explain some things on that level. So let's just end this. Let's end this. So you already understand what I mean by psychological zone, or you can also call it support and resistance zone. Support and resistance zone. So let me just delete this. Delete this. So we have a clean chart now. So that is that on that too. So we already talked about the psychological zone too. So let's end the class there.